Hello everyone. I'm currently working on another art journal page, and I've come up with this sort of like trick on how to add titles into your pages. Basically, I saw this on YouTube, but they did it on a stamped image, and how to you stamp the image on tissue paper, and then you use like a gel matte medium to glue it onto your background, so that essentially what it does is, I guess, it helps you blend the image into your background, and it's not like this harsh white, like if you were to stamp your image on white paper, then cut it out and stick it on, it's obvious, that it was stamped on paper. And this way, it kind of allows the stamped image to blend into your background without actually stamping it on your actual background. So I saw a video of that technique, and I decided to try and use it on writing. I made this background, and I want to add a title in my writing, but because there's a lot of black on the page already, I feel adding a pen directly to the background might just make everything bleed and mucky. Like I made a page yesterday here, and I just kind of, I don't know, it didn't, like the background, I was trying to color it in with the white gel pen, but the background would always come through. Anyway, so I'm thinking that I'm going to try this out with my writing on tissue paper and gluing it down. So the quote I'm going to be using is, anything is possible as long as you don't stand in your way. Just a tip, you have to tear the paper, because if you use if you cut the line and you glue it down, like, you will see the harsh lines around it. And if you use tissue paper that's been torn, like, I guess the way the paper is like cut in different places, will blend easily to the background. So yeah, well, I'm gonna continue writing everything out, and I'll be back. Alright, so I just finished writing all the words and cutting, like tearing them around. And one more thing, when you're tearing the word, do your best to get close as you can to the actual word without ripping it, because the less white space, the more it will blend better into the background. So you can see here, I kind of had to go in, and yeah, just make sure you get every little corner, and like over here I had to cut it in too. So a lot of white space isn't necessarily good, so try to get as close to the word as possible without tearing it. But if you do, it's totally fine, because I have, and it's gonna be okay. The reason why this is actually a cool tip on getting an actual quote down on your page is because you get to have the words written out, and then you can play around with positioning. So if I want anything to be sort of like arched, I can do that, and then I can also just play around with positioning to make sure I get it how I want it. So I'm ready to glue everything down. So I'm just using a scrap piece of paper as my gluing mat, and generously applying the matte multi-medium. This tends to dry pretty quickly, so if you have to apply more, then that's fine. Be careful when you're peeling it off. Okay. And I found that using a permanent pen like the Pitt Artist pen by Faber-Castell is the best way to go, because you need something permanent, because you're going to be adding a wet medium on top and you don't want it to bleed. So the Pitt Faber-Castell Artist pen are waterproof, and it dries pretty quickly. Because my background is made with illusions, the background is getting re-wet with the multi-medium, so the color is going to be picked up on my paintbrush. So what I do is just rinse it off, clean it, and then continue. And I have to do this quite often. Sometimes I also like to use my finger, just so that I can try to avoid the color being picked up on the paintbrush and reapplying it on my word. So I'm just going to continue gluing down the rest of the pieces. trying to work in the letters so that the background is more visible. The type of tissue paper I used is not gift tissue paper. It was more like a packaging tissue paper, so it's rough on both sides. I know gift tissue paper has one soft side and then one rough side, and this is just both rough. So I'm maybe using the gift tissue paper with the softer side is not as is more see-through and more blendable. Now I'm going to continue gluing everything down, and I'll be right back. Now the last part was a little big and harder to put down, so I did get some wrinkles in my words. But what I'm doing now is just pressing down with my finger, just to flatten out the wrinkles and just to press it down, make sure it's really stuck. And using more multi-medium as I go along. Again, don't go too fast. I just learned from experience, going too fast may lift up the corners. Now you just let it dry. So here is the finishing look. It is still drying, but as you can see over here, it blended really well with the background. Whoops. But it still left sort of a ghosting, which is basically what the white space of the tissue was. That's why it's very important to try to cut as close to the word as possible. Like over here, there's still a lot of white space and you can still see it. But you know what? I enjoy it like this because it kind of looks, I don't know, for some reason it's reminding me of like graffiti on a wall. So I kind of really like the way it looks, and it allows you to, you know, add your writing in, and it allows you some flexibility to play around with where you want to place everything before you glue everything down. And it's a really cool different technique to use when adding some words or an image to your page. So this is what it looks like when it's dried. I added a little bit more things to the page. I kind of added some pink highlighting over here on the flower, and I did the same thing on this flower over here just so that the black flower can pop up a bit. And I also added some sequins to the image. Now I don't know how I feel about these sequins. I might take them off, but for now they're gonna stay, and I'm probably gonna end up outlining the words with white gel pen so that they can stand out. And I think that's then I'm gonna call it a day on this page. I really like the way it looks, and thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoy this technique and try it out yourselves. So take care. Bye.